In one of his motivational speeches, Denzel Washington makes a statement that if you hang around the barbershop long enough, you're going to get a haircut. That statement is true. If you hang around people and places long enough, you are going to become a part of those places and you're going to adopt the behavior of those people. Say what you want to say. As the secular world says, birds of a feather flock together. Eventually, you are going to adopt that behavior. The Bible tells us to be ye not unequally yoked. So yes, we have to be careful about the people that we are hanging around. That leads me to the story I'm going to talk about today is the story of Dinah. Unfortunately, begins to hang around with the people in which her family is camped near. As a result, some tragedy takes place. Today's topic is be careful who or what you are hanging around with. Hi, I'm the one that shares with Two Cute Life Lessons, and today we're talking about being careful about who we're hanging around with, where we are, and what we're doing. We have to be careful what we set before our eyes, because what we see is eventually what we're going to become. That's why if you'll notice in the Bible, God is very specific about not intermarrying, not mingling with people who were not of the same faith or the same religion. Solomon is a good example. He begins to take up with the women. He married these foreign wives, and they eventually lead him astray. They lead him from God. So when we're hanging around company that is not godly company, we can't say we're just hanging around with them to help them out. Not constantly feeding this to ourselves, because whatever our diet is, whether it's our spiritual diet or our physical diet, that is what we are going to turn into. So we want to stay in good standing with God. We have to be careful about where we are and who we are hanging around with, whose behavior we're adopting. It's so easy today to get caught up with social media and watching these things that are going on in the world and watching what's on the Real Housewives or wherever. And we may want to adopt some of that behavior that we see on Instagram and on TikTok. That is not godly behavior. What we feed our minds constantly is what we're going to become. As I've said on my other channel, I recently took a new job and I'm in an area that is unfamiliar to me. But I tell you what I can tell right away, that the children are not being taken to church. How do I know? I can tell by behavior. I can tell by their knowledge. I can tell by the things that they do. So we want to ensure that we are not hanging around places or people that we should not be. In the biblical story of Dinah, we know that Jacob camped near these people. Anyway, she began to go out with those girls, those women. She wanted to hang around with them. She wanted to go do some things. She is Leah and Jacob's daughter. Unfortunately, in her hanging around with them, she attracts someone wanting attention, and she is molested. The guy does agree to marry her, but she is molested. And as a result, when she comes home, her brothers take it upon themselves that they are going to avenge their sister. Well, who can blame them? That's their sister. So they trick this man and his father and the rest of the men of the town into thinking that if they get circumcised, that they will allow him to marry Dinah. They are going to accept him into their religion. But instead, after they are all circumcised, we know her brothers attacked the city, killed the men, molested the women, and basically loot. Before we go any further with this video, if you have not already, please give this video a like, a thumbs up, and that you subscribe so I can continue to give you more teaching tips and hacks. And I will see you back in the video. Jacob is not in agreement with what his sons do in revenge of their sister. However, the damage has been done. Again, we have to be careful who we hang around with. All this could have been prevented if Dinah had been hanging around with some godly people. She had been hanging around with her family instead of trying to venture off into a foreign land and hang out with and become a part of these foreign people. God tells us, gotta say it again, we're not to be unequally yoked. We have to be careful who we are around. The measure of success is always look at who's around you. Look at your inner circle. Look at who you're spending the most amount of time with. That's what's going to tell you where you're going. So again, as Denzel Washington said, if you hang around the barbershop, you're going to get a haircut. So let us today be mindful of the people we're hanging around. Let us be mindful of the behavior in which we are becoming a part of. And sometimes we become guilty by association. Maybe we're not doing all the cussing. Maybe we're not listening to that awful music. Maybe we're not indulging in the things that the world is doing. But because we're hanging around with the people who are doing it, we become guilty by association. As I leave you today, I leave you with this. Be careful. Be mindful of what you put before your eyes. Be mindful of what you're listening to. Be mindful of the conversations you're listening to, because and say, trash in, trash out, even in behavior. So let us be mindful of what we are doing. We are children of God. We're the salt of the earth, and what we do counts. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Before I go, I just want to ask, have you been guilty of being somewhere or doing something that you knew was wrong and that probably could adversely affect your spiritual journey with God? Let me know in the comments below. See you guys in the next video.